anxiety. Let's start off by discussing, the effect that stress can have on our lives. The sign that you're stressed and maybe you don't realize it. A lot of people are walking around there with all sorts of stress in their lives and they don't even realize it until something goes wrong. So can we maybe start with that?
Yeah, I think we should start with very basic definitions of what stress is. So in the medical literature, or the biomedical literature, stress is the perception of threat. When you feel physically threatened or you feel psychologically, emotionally threatened, then your biology responds in a certain way. And this goes back to our evolutionary history. So before we lived in urban societies, when we were basically in the jungle with other sentient beings in the food chain, and we were being chased by a tiger. If the tiger was close to us, we killed it. If it was a little further away, we ran away from it. This response is orchestrated by the midbrain, or it's also called the reptilian brain, which is basically the part of our brain that controls our autonomic function. So right now, your midbrain, my midbrain, people who are watching us, their midbrain is regulating, without their knowledge, their blood pressure, their heart rate, their breathing, their electrolytes, their hormones, all the chemicals that are in our body, trillions of them actually. And in the absence of not feeling threatened, everything is functioning automatically without our conscious awareness. It's there in our awareness, but we're not conscious of it. Because if something happened right now, then immediately it would enter your conscious awareness. If there was a fire or a gunshot there, immediately it would enter your awareness and your body would go into a specific response, which we call the fight or flight response. So blood pressure goes up because it's preparing you to either fight or to run. Adrenaline goes up because it's the same idea. And the more active your sympathetic nervous system is, the greater the ability to fight or to run. And so the pupils dilate to improve the range of vision, and the platelets get sticky so that if you fall down, you don't bleed to death. So everything that happens is actually protective. But now we're not in that situation, unless there's an emergency. We're not in this situation.
We're not the caveman running away from the tiger.
That's it. So somebody says something mean to you, or you feel threatened because of an economic crisis, or you have an argument with your spouse, or your child comes home late at night having...
For me, it's stuck in the traffic jam.
Stuck in the traffic jam. The same response occurs, and it's now inappropriate. And what it does in the end is all these things, adrenaline going up, noradrenaline, cortisol also goes up. Now cortisol suppresses the immune system because at that moment you don't need your immune system surveillance. You need an inflammatory response to respond to the situation. So all these things go up, and the end result is inflammation in the body, a compromised immune system, which leads to it can, over the long term, lead to diabetes because insulin is blocked, and many other things. But there's low-grade inflammation, and in people who have chronic stress. Now, if I have an acute injury, it's all good because even the inflammatory response protects me. Okay, if you have pneumonia or if you fall down, have an injury, all that is protective. But what people have these days is a low-grade stress all the time. They don't know they have it other than they're hassled. They are irritated, they feel some fatigue, they feel a low-grade anxiety. But if you test them, their inflammatory markers are up and their cortisol level is up, These inflammatory markers are called cytokines. And in the long range, then starting with these mental disturbances, anxiety, maybe a little depression. Of course, if it goes on for a long time, then it can lead to hostility and anger and guilt and depression and humiliation and everything that we think is negative in our life. And then it starts to lead to behavioral disturbances. People get irritable, they may start taking drugs or alcohol abuse. So it starts with mental disturbances, and then it leads to behavioral disturbances, and ultimately it leads to disease. Even minor things like skin eruptions, muscle aches and pains, insomnia, indigestion. But if it progresses, then it's the underlying cause in autoimmune illness, in cancer, in frequent infections, just about any disease.
So I guess to summarize that, we could say that most people are walking around with a major disease just waiting to happen.
Yes, disease takes a long time to happen. So, if you look at heart disease, it builds up over many decades. Alzheimer's builds up over many decades. Even cancer, all diseases build up over a long time. And most people have no idea that they are actually at risk. Stress as we now know it in urban societies, if you go to the Vedic literature, which we go to for all our techniques, stress is that which interferes with the spontaneous flow of nature's intelligence as it flows from the unmanifest into the manifest. So, in every moment, we are naturally flowing with life. The natural way of being is spontaneous creativity, spontaneous fulfillment of desire, but when stress is there, it blocks that.
What can we do before we all become extinct? Give us these 7 tools. Maybe let's start with sleep.
Sleep is the most efficient way of actually getting rid of toxins in the body, flushing out the amyloid that builds in the brain that causes Alzheimer's. It's also the best way for fine-tuning your immune system, for regulating your hormones, for decreasing inflammation in general, and modulating every activity in your body, the dance between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system. Everything is connected. And sleep is the most efficient way to detox your body, let's say, both in the deep sleep stage and the dream state.
Please give us some of the other tools that we can use to alleviate stress in our lives.
There are many tools that you can use to alleviate stress in your life. So let's begin with laughter. You can look up online some jokes and laugh. There are many studies that show that when you have an opportunity to laugh, or even when you smile, the hormones associated with stress go down. Exercise is very good. Taking a walk, walking 10,000 steps a day is ideal if you can do it. I do it even with my busy schedule. So exercise.
Or yoga.
Mind-body coordination, yoga, and breathing exercises like pranayama, they all help. And then you have massage, which is a very good way, because when you give somebody a massage or even a self-massage, your skin and your brain have the same germ layer. It's called the neuroectoderm. So you stimulate all these hormones, neuropeptides, etc. Massage has many other effects that we didn't know in the past. Music. Listening to music is a very interesting way of tackling stress. All these things are very effective in handling stress. But, as you know, the backbone for all stress management in our regimen, in our daily practice, other than yoga and pranayama, is meditation. We use primordial sound meditation, which is a mantra technique to take you to more abstract levels of thinking till ultimately you go to baseline, which is the source of thought, which is consciousness. It's the most powerful, most replicable, most well-studied, most effective, effortless way to stay in a stress-free state. Now, these days people are talking a lot about the extreme opposite of stress, not just biologically, but as what they call the flow state. So flow state is lightness of being. There's no anticipation of a response, there's no regret from the past, there's no resistance to this moment. Everything flows effortlessly. There's also loss and the flow state of ego identity. And people go to all kinds of extremes to get these flow states with hallucinogens, etc. But meditation regularly done and incorporated in your life will create that experience that we all talk about: joyful, energetic body, loving, compassionate heart, reflective, alert mind, and lightness of being, which is the flow state.
I think that's what we've enjoyed in our lives for many years as well, so it's a beautiful thing. Is your mind constantly on overdrive and you can't slow down that busy brain? Then the next video is for you. Deepak and I are going to show you how to calm your busy mind with some amazing tips that you can use right now. Thank you for being with us. Thank you, Deepak.
Thank you.